Hi guys, my name's Bill, and in this video I'm going to show you how to remove, how it works, and how to test the door lock on your Frigidaire or Electrolux front load washer. Alright guys, here's a look at our Frigidaire front load washer, and this is the door lock that we're going to be troubleshooting today. So to remove the door lock, just go ahead and take the two screws out to hold it in place. Now the first method I show you here on how to remove it is going to be if you have a dryer stacked on top of your washer. So in a case like that, you'd want to take the door boot, take the little front edge of the door boot off so you can reach in behind it, and get your door lock out like that. Then from here you just have to remove the plugs, and we'll be able to test it. Now if you don't have a dryer on top of your washer and you don't want to mess with the door boot, you can get to it from the top. So basically there's two screws on the back. You take those two screws out and you'll be able to reach down inside. After you take the two screws out of the door lock, you'll be able to reach in and fish it out like you were ice fishing or something. And just like this. And there's your door lock. So before we get into testing, let's tear it apart and see what's inside so I can show you how it works. On each side there's two little clips. I'll go ahead and pry those up. And most of the time when you pull these apart, a bunch of parts don't fall out, so it's not, everything's in there pretty good. Now in the back you have a little clip here. We'll just go ahead and pop that up. And you'll be able to remove the top half and see what's inside. And that's a good view of what it looks like right there. Alright, now how this operates, I'm going to try to show you this. This wasn't the most graceful way to show you, but as you close the door and the door actuator goes into those little slots, you can see those little black pieces in there spread apart. Just like that. So for the door to lock, the forks will come down like this, and those black pieces aren't able to spring apart anymore. So when your door's shut and that actuator's all the way in and the door's locked, you can't pull the actuator out when the forks are down. So I hope that's pretty clear right there. Now there's two stages of this door lock. There's the electromagnetic piece on the left hand side of the screen there, and that's what pulls it down quickly. So when you first shut the door and it starts to fill with water and you're adding clothes and stuff like that, when you hit the pause cancel button, that springs up real quick and you're able to add more garments if that's what you want to do. Then there's a second stage, and we'll get to that later. So to test the first stage of the door lock here, the electromagnet, I'm just going to go ahead and put 120 volts to it, and we'll see how it operates. And as soon as I plug into the wall, you see the forks go down, and when I unplug it, they come back up. And like I said, that's stage 1 on the door lock. And here's a view from the side. Once voltage is applied to that coil there, it pulls down the metal piece above it. Now we're going to do a little ohms testing here on the coil. And it looks like we're going to get about 1.29 something kilo ohms. And that's a good coil. And that's the reading you should get. Now this is the secondary part of the door lock mechanism. Now this is actually sped up about 4 times because this moves real slow. And this is the piece that makes everybody mad when your washer shuts off at the end of a cycle and you can't open the door for like 2 or 3 minutes. And this is called like a wax motor. So here it is in action. Now when the electromagnet pulls the forks down, that's stage 1, but when your machine goes into a spin cycle, this thing comes across and basically holds it so you can't unplug the washer from the wall and then open up the door real quick and stick your hand in there and get it ripped off. So that's the purpose of this. This is like a safety feature right here. And when you remove power from this motor, it takes a minute or two before it actually starts to retract. just because it has to cool down. And this is sped up a little bit. Now this first resistance reading that I'm going to do is when the motor hasn't been run, so it's cool, it's at room temperature. So we get 1.19 kilo ohms. Now after I ran the motor, and I tested for ohms again, we're going to get a different reading here. We're going to get 0.8 kilo ohms, and that's when the motor's warm. So you're going to get something in between that somewhere. Probably, if you haven't run it, it's going to be on the higher side. But those are the two readings you should get. And now I'm going to show you how to put it back together. And it's pretty simple. The hardest part is going to be putting the door boot back on. It might take you a couple tries, as you're going to see. It's going to take me a couple tries whenever I do it, but you guys will get the hang of it. I'll go ahead and put the 2 screws in. Now the first step in putting the door boot back on is making sure that you have the rubber behind the lip on the front panel there. So you're going to spend a few minutes and kind of work that around until you get it all tucked in like it's supposed to be. And you'll know when it's on right because it'll be flush up against the metal and there won't be any space behind it. And I just about have it on. Yep. And you can see that's flush up against the metal there, so there's no space. And you just have a groove for the band to go in right there. And this is the tricky part. Might be easier for you to get an extra set of hands for this piece, or for this part. But I'm going to go ahead and do it so you guys can see how it's done. You always put the spring part towards the bottom, and that's the last part you're going to put on. And you can see how it sprung off on me there. So I'm going to try again. And then once I get down towards the bottom, I'm just pulling the spring apart and hooking the last little bit of the spring there over top of the rubber. And there we go, just about all back in. And that's how you put the door boot back on. Alright guys, that's my video on how to troubleshoot, how to test, and how the door lock assembly works on your Frigidaire or Electrolux front load washer. So now if you're not subscribed to my YouTube channel, make sure you do that now. If you haven't signed up for my contest giveaway this month, make sure you visit the description on this video and do that. And I want to thank you guys for watching.